Welcome to our new video featuring a selection of films in which John Wayne has been shot up, blown up, stabbed up and kicked upside the head. You name it, he suffered it. Hope you enjoy. Back to Bataan, 1945. Director Edward Dmytryk and scriptwriter Ben Barsman took umbrage at some of John Wayne's political views at the time, so they capitalised on Duke's preference for performing his own stunts by blowing him up. They had him strapped into a leather harness and then yanked out of a foxhole by an overhead crane to simulate being thrown into the air for the impact of an exploding enemy artillery shell. Duke took it all on the chin, but wisely never worked with Dmytryk again. Red River, 1948. Gunslinger Cherry Valance, played by John Ireland, calls out Thomas Dunson, played by Wayne, towards the end of the film. He gets shot for his trouble, but Dunson takes the bullet as well. It doesn't even slow him up. Dunson, intent on giving his adopted son Matt Garth, played by Montgomery Clift, a damn good whapping for stealing his herd. Never come between a man and his cow. The Quiet Man, 1952. During his wedding to the beautiful Mary Kate Danaher, ex-boxer Sean Trooper Thornton ends up being knocked out cold by new brother-in-law Red Will with a haymaker punch Thornton should have seen coming. After being brought round by smelling salts, Thornton leaps from the floor to go looking for the guy who walloped him. We all know how that works out in the end, don't we? Hondo, 1953. This is a double wound part for Wayne. Hondo first of all being captured by the Apaches and having hot coals dropped onto his right hand, which is a bit unfair seeing that's also his gun hand as well. Another Apache, mighty riled up at Hondo having killed his brother, challenges him to a knife fight. During the course of the fight, Hondo is stabbed in the shoulder, but despite being tortured earlier, he still manages to prevail. They really don't make guys like this anymore. Legend of the Lost, 1957. Accompanied by the beautiful Sophia Loren and a deranged Rossano Brazzi looking for his father and gold in the desert, Wayne, as guide Joe January, gets on the wrong side of Brazzi, who stabs him in the back. Luckily, Sophia has a gun, so slows Brazzi to a gentlemanly walk via the application of 6 bullets to the chest. The Conqueror, 1956. Wayne, as Temujin, aka Genghis Khan, falls for the lovely Bortai, played by Susan Hayward. When she tries to return to her tribe, he goes after her, and for his troubles takes an arrow in his right chest. The first one to strike JW in the film since Rio Grande, as far as we're aware. He may also get tortured at one point, but we're not prepared ourselves to endure the torture of having to watch the rest of the film all the way through in order just to prove a point. Jet Pilot, 1957. It's not very often that a woman gets the best of John Wayne, but in this film, Janet Leigh as Russian pilot Anna strikes a blow for equality by whacking him around the head with the butt of a gun when he finds out she's actually a double agent. In the words of the man himself, she was a Soviet Tootsie Roll who made a chump out of him. She sure did, but Duke still got the girl at the end of the day. The Comancheros, 1961. Duke must have had extreme faith in his co-star Stuart Whitman when it came to wielding a shovel near his head. After capturing gambler Paul Regret, JW as Texas Ranger Jake Cutter stupidly hands his prisoner a very large spade in order to help bury some of Cutter's friends. Although Regret expresses regret at what he's about to do, he still goes ahead and does it anyway, whacking Cutter on the head with the side of the head with said spade and knocking him unconscious. Regret lives to regret his actions, and that's all the regret puns we can think of at the moment. In Harm's Way, 1965. Out of all the scrapes John Wayne gets himself into described thus far, this has to be one of the worst. During the final sea battle with model boats that takes place in this Otto Preminger World War II naval movie, Wayne, as Captain Rock Tory, faces the might of the Japanese Navy and ends up losing a leg when his ship takes a direct hit. Hellfighters, 1968. You might have thought JW, playing a character based upon oil well firefighter Red Adair, would have suffered a couple of burns or scorched eyebrows at the very least. But nope, he has to up the ante and get himself nearly crushed to death by a bulldozer instead. It's not his fault. what was trying to cap a well at the same time, but this is definitely a one-off incident that was unlikely to ever be repeated in any of his other films. And he ends up in hospital too. Finally. Please like and subscribe.